Welcome to the Whiskey with Winners podcast, the show with business titans sharing their stories of the highs and lows of entrepreneurship. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite glass of whiskey, and listen to the real and raw stories of these industry leaders. Now, here's your host, the man, the myth, the legend, the most interesting marketer, Jacob Fail.
What's up, everybody? It's Jacob Fell, the most interesting marketer, coming to you today live on the Whiskey with Winners podcast. And today we have a very special guest. We have Bradley Hannon, and he is a health insurance guru. Love everything that he's doing. So welcome to the show.
Man, I appreciate it. And I love that intro. The most interesting marketer. It's kind of an oxymoron, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
There's not very many interesting marketers.
Exactly. That's what I gotta say. And I have my shirt on today too. I got the logo, so it's like a
nice
mix between the most interesting man in the world and James Bond type thing. So you know.
I love it, dude. And you said you're in New Mexico. It's a little colder there than it is here in Florida, but I'm jealous, man, because you get to wear cool vests like that. And I'm here in January in t-shirts and shorts. So.
Hey, I'd rather be in t-shirt and shorts. I love Florida.
Yeah, who doesn't, man? Who doesn't?
Yeah. So take us back to young Bradley. Like, where did you come from? How was life growing up? How did you get into insurance and entrepreneurship? Just take us back to.
Yeah, man. I love taking it back, especially right now, because I'm in this phase. I actually just did a little video on the YouTube channel about kind of the last year in review. And I don't know if you can relate to this at all, but for me, it's taken me probably a year really to find my voice and to find kind of to find, how much of me I can really put out there, right? Which is all of it, right? And it is scary, right? Putting yourself out there at first, getting on video, getting into the content game. And for me, it going back to young Bradley, I was raised in I don't want to say a broken home, man. My parents are freaking amazing, right? I love both of them, but was evicted from a few houses. We certainly didn't have a ton of money. It's not a big sob story. Like people have been raised much worse conditions, right? But certainly didn't grow up in an environment that was like inhibiting growth, right? It wasn't like I was set up for this massive success, right? It wasn't, I wasn't handed a silver spoon or whatever the saying is, right? It was more so a struggle and a grind. And I found myself in an early age working in construction, right? It was just kind of the natural progression. My whole life, dude, I was like, nah, I'm not going to college. Like I was in high school. I remember being in high school being like, dude, I don't give a shit about my grades. I get a C average and get the hell out of here. And I'm going to be a firefighter. Right. Well, right the heck out of high school, there was no jobs for firefighters. Like it was like, you were waiting 2 years. And so, I got into some trouble fighting. I, got charged with a battery, and, that put me even further back on the list of getting hired as a firefighter. And so, I found myself in construction, and man, you can say what you want about that industry, but it is tough to develop a positive mindset around a bunch of people that are just laboring every single day in and day out. So, was working in construction for a long time, felt like that was kind of my calling. Like that, if anyone's called doing construction, right? It's just where I wound up. And then fast forward a little bit, I got into student ministry. So I was doing, which is a complete 180, right? A totally different deal. But during that time, it kind of taught me a lot about like personal growth and development. And I began to develop a different kind of confidence, right? Like a true confidence, not just like, arrogance or cockiness or whatever. Like I developed a lot more confidence through the ministry days. And then, fast forward, I'm giving the very, very short cliff notes to give you, we can dive deeper into some of this, but the fast forward version would be that I got out of ministry. I moved back to Sarasota. So I left the church that I was at there in Orlando, moved back to Sarasota, and just fell into insurance like so many people do. Right. But because of the transition that I made from construction to ministry, where I learned the importance of personal development and growth and positive mindset and all of these things, I succeeded in insurance, and I've never looked back. I mean, it was, close to 100K first year, tripled my income the second year, had a real, falling out with that insurance company and lost everything and had to do it over again. So, I mean, my story is from construction to $250,000 and then beyond. And that's really, I think, what sums up a lot of my identity. But I'm just doing this I'm putting out content. I'm on YouTube, on Facebook group. We're doing as much as we can because, dude, I come from construction. It's just like, labor. Right. And so this is easy for me and I'm having a blast doing it. Right. So that's the real short version.
Yeah. Well, and your story is very, some of the parts are similar to my brother because he was in construction and he still is, but now he's a GC and he was also in the ministry and stuff. So it's cool to hear those.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
No kidding. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So and he's also a real estate agent as well. So he owns his own brokerage, but
okay.
But that's really cool though. So obviously with ministry, because my family is big into that. Like my brother, like I said, he's a minister. So you learn different things throughout your life that teaches you how to become a certain way, and it forms you across the whole different sections of your life. Like in construction, you knew I don't want to dig ditches for the rest of my life, or build houses or whatever, right? So and my uncle's a construction worker and I used to work with them throughout the summer. So we used to frame houses, and I know how hard it was,
dude. And I will say I'll say to that, like I didn't actually have that feeling of I'm not going to do this my whole life. Like I actually had the opposite feeling at a certain point in time where like, dude, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I'm in construction and I'll just, I'll climb the ladder a little bit and I'll go from digging ditches to maybe running heavy equipment to maybe one day I'll be a foreman and a supervisor and I don't have to do as much, but never did I see myself outside of, manual labor and construction. Just got to throw that out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and especially in the South too, because I'm from South Mississippi. So like there's not a ton. I mean, there's options, right? But there's not a ton of options if you're in a smaller town. Because I came from a town of like, I don't know, 20, 30,000 people. And whenever you graduated from high school, you either worked at like a restaurant somewhere, or you had a family business, started your own business, or you were a police officer, fireman, or construction. Like there wasn't a ton of options, in some of the smaller, towns. So it's cool to see that you transitioned from that, and you've always lived in Florida, right? Or
always, man. Sarasota, and then Sarasota, and then Orlando for a very brief time, and then I realized just how good I have it here. And just how good I have it here in Sarasota, Florida, man. Love it. Siesta Key Beach. I don't know if you heard of it, but that's our staple beach here. It's beautiful.
Nice. Yeah, we're coming to Orlando in September.
There you go. So Orlando's great to visit. I'll tell you, it's great to visit. Not so much to live in, right? The traffic and all of that stuff. It can be a lot there, but to live, but to go for a vacation, man, you'll have a blast for sure.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So as far as the insurance side of things go, how did you fall into that? I mean, because I know there's certain things in life that it bridges you into this corner, and then you're like, I have to do something. And then like, was it like that, or was it just by happenstance?
Dude, I'm so glad you asked that question too, because I moved. So I lived in Orlando, right? And at that time I was not vocational ministry, meaning I wasn't making money in ministry. I was a part of a church plant. Okay. That was called Action Church. It's in Orlando. It's amazing church. The pastor there, I've given a lot of credit to over the years on leadership development. And I mean, I was so attracted to his style of leadership because he's one of the greatest leaders that I've ever had a chance to learn from. And it was only a couple of short years, right? It was maybe 2.5, 3 years that I got to kind of learn under his wing. And taking the religion stuff out of it, I mean, you can't really take it out of it, but that stuff aside, just from a pure leadership principle guy, he was amazing, right? Amazing leader. And so I got to learn a ton from him. And like I said, being in that space with personal growth and development and, having a lot more confidence, I started a business while I was in Orlando, and it was for, and this is another thing I just kind of fell into because I was working for a pharmacy. I started a business that was finding assisted living facilities for seniors. So basically think about like a real estate agent, but for old folks going into old folks' homes. Right. And I'm doing this at like 25, 26 years old. I'm this like young kid helping grandma find a freaking assisted living facility. Right.
Oh, yeah.
It's not the, not the most exciting thing, but you would be amazed at what you can get paid doing that. Right. So, I mean, if I found one senior, right, a home to live in, I could make like $3,000 to $4,000, and at that time, I could live for a month off of $3,000 to $4,000. So I had that business in Orlando, and I had a couple of ladies that were working under me. I mean, it's kind of like an insurance style. They're making their commission, and I'm making a little bit of commission on the top of what they're making. It was kind of, I set it up like that. So long story short, I moved back to Sarasota, and I had that business going still. And I was making, a couple $1,000s a month off of it, nothing significant. But when I moved back to Sarasota, I actually moved in with my high school sweetheart, who we had started dated again. Now my wife, my mother of both of my children, and, my partner in life. And so, he moved in with her and was just kind of freeloading for a little bit. To be honest with you, I was playing a lot of golf. I was playing, a lot of video games, hanging out while she went to work, and she worked for an insurance agency. She was actually a recruiter. So she said, "Hey, why don't you come sell insurance?" And I'm like, "Nah, not going to happen." Really what she was saying was, "Hey, why don't you do anything besides get off my couch and, or lay on my couch and play video games and go golf with your friends? Like, why don't you just do something?" is what she was trying to say. And so after saying no to that a couple times, not getting a job, hanging out for probably a month. I mean, I make it sound way longer than it is. I'm not a kind of guy that can just sit around for months on end. It was maybe a month that I just kind of chilled and was collecting on the business that I'd started in Orlando. And then that started to fall apart. And so I naturally went to a Christmas party for that insurance agency with my now wife. And there was a lot of young, cool people there, right? A lot of people making a lot of money. They were cool people. Like I could kind of see, I had one of those moments where you think, man, if they can do it, I can do it. Right. Like there's moments in my life where I see somebody that's uber successful and on the top of the world. Right. And I'm like, man, that guy, and then you meet him and you're like, wow, that guy's kind of just like a normal dude. Like if he can do it, maybe I can do it. Right. And so I jumped in with that agency, and that jumping in with that agency was a mistake. But what I learned and took away from it was not a mistake. And so it was a very short tenure with that agency. I went about little less than 2 years, but I made, my first year, I made 76,000. And then the following year I made over $280,000, which was like, it changed my life. It changed my wife's life. And we never really looked back. I mean, yes, we've had some struggles in between, but being introduced to insurance as a vehicle to generate income is probably one of the top 5 greatest things that ever happened in my life, for sure.
Well, and the beautiful thing too about the insurance agency is like you get renewals every year, right? So like,
no doubt,
you get that recurring income,
right?
Versus like, being a real estate agent or something, you just get that one big commission, but then you got to keep hustling. Versus insurance.
Some people say that residual income is the 8th wonder of the world, right?
Exactly.
It really is.
Yeah, I think software and courses is the 8th wonder, but I mean,
hey, if you can create residual income off of the software and courses, though, then we're still talking about the same thing, right?
Exactly.
I love it.
So yeah. So as far as that goes, so now you've been in insurance for like what, 5-6 years or longer?
6 years, I guess, going on 7 now. So
nice.
It's been full of ups and downs.
Yeah. So now you have your own brokerage, or are you still under another brokerage, or?
Yeah. So I work with a company called Healthcare Solutions Team. I own my own agency called Elite Performance Insurance Company. We're partnered with Healthcare Solutions Teams. So that's kind of the I'm one of these guys that, dude, put me on the track, right? And I'll run for days, right? But I'm not going to build the track. Like, I don't want to create the track. It doesn't excite me. It doesn't like I want to be plugged into a system that works, right? Knowing that it works. And then I want to run 100 miles an hour. I just want to go. So I partnered with Healthcare Solution Team 4.5 years ago now. I'm going on 5 years. It'll be 5 years this year. And, they've been a great partner. They're a massive agency in the under 65 individual space. And they're probably the biggest player in that space outside of a few captive agencies. They're, like I said, been wonderful, but we specialize mainly in under 65 individual health, which is kind of this unique niche in the marketplace where a lot of people in insurance, like Medicare brokers or group insurance agents or life insurance agents, they've always heard, man, there's no money in individual health. And depending on how you're doing it, that can be true. Right. So we're solving a big problem on both fronts for clients, right, who are paying thousands of dollars for plans that are, they're not even using, or maybe they hate, but they need to have coverage and it's costing them an arm and a leg. So we're solving a big problem for clients, and that's cool. But we're also solving a big problem on the agent or broker side, because we're teaching agents how to make money in a space that's been notorious for there being no money. Right. And when people say there's no money in individual health, it's because Obamacare came out, right? The Affordable Care Act came in. They cut commissions. They tried to cut out brokers. And, a lot of agents that were selling individual health left the business and they went to sell group, or they went to sell Medicare. And so it's created this, there's no money in health insurance type of stigma. And we're proving that to be false, right? I mean, very false, making great money. We have multiple agents making six figures, multiple agents making over $250,000 and in just their first couple of years. And, it's every bit as equivalent to what you see out there in the life insurance space and what you see out there. Maybe commissions are lower on certain products, but they're more longer term products. So the long game in this space is, proven to be great. And that's what we're talking about with the residual income. Life insurance, you're getting this big upfront, heaped commission. Yeah. Then the residual drops off big time. In health, it's much more level over the life of the policy. Sometimes it is completely level over the life of the policy. So, again, the big problem we're solving is training agents and brokers out there on how to make six-figure or multiple six-figure income selling under 65 individual health, which notorious for there being no money in.
Yeah. Well, and the beautiful thing about that too is, when the Affordable Care Act came out and Obamacare, like everybody leaving the industry, that leaves it, more of a blue ocean for you to where you can come in and scoop up all the other clients. I mean, I'm sure there's still plenty of people in the industry that's doing it, but if there's a mass migration like that, it's either a good thing or a really bad thing. But I think for you,
it's still extremely underserved. I think it's a great thing. I think that our segment of the industry, our vertical, is still far underserved, right? And that's a good thing, because it means it is a target rich environment, like you said, a blue ocean.
Yeah. Well, and two, especially with all the stuff going on right now with coronavirus and all this, all the different things.
What's that?
Like, yeah, I know, right? Whatever it is.
Are we allowed to talk about it?
We can. I have my views. I don't know if my listeners, if they're going to have the same views or not, but I have my theories on it. But
I got you.
I mean, we can, if you want to get into that.
No. We can, it's okay. I've heard enough about it. I've talked enough about it. That was a total joke. We don't have to get into all that.
No, it's whatever. It is what it is. It's life as we know it now, and we gotta figure out and navigate through this weird time of life.
How's New Mexico? Is it open over there?
No, we're still have the stupid mask mandates. And
do you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the worst. That's why I just
Florida will be great for you then. You'll enjoy Orlando.
Well, we just went home to Mississippi to go see my niece and my family and stuff, and it's all open there. And we're like driving back through Texas, everything's normal there, and then we cross the state line to New Mexico, and then it's back to
Masks
communism.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Dang.
it's yeah, it sucks. We try and stay home as much as we can, but you can only be cooped up so much before you.
Yeah, good luck with that, man.
Yeah,
No doubt.
at least on the golf course, they don't make you wear masks. So that's
there you go. Well, that's where I would spend a lot of my time then. All my
well,
time.
We go there, and obviously if you're eating or drinking, we take them off the whole time. So
yeah,
you know,
by now we've all learned the tricks.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But so I want to talk about a little bit of like common myths within the industry as far as like insurance goes, and different hardships that you went through while building your business. So talk a little bit about like what's some myths that people think about during, like with insurance, and why they wouldn't want to get insurance. Because I know a lot of people that don't have insurance, or they don't want insurance, or
oh dude. Oh, we're going to talk about it from the client side. I love that. Yeah. Common myths from the client side. Holy smokes. There's a lot of them, right? The first one, I'll say full coverage doesn't exist. And I steal that from a meme page. I always see they have coffee mugs now and shirts that say full coverage doesn't exist. And I think, man, I need to get that for my office. I can get it on my wall. I need to have that everywhere, because that is a huge myth, right? Is like, I even just talked to a guy yesterday. He had employer coverage, and I said, what did you have through your employer previous? And he said, oh, I had full coverage, health, dental, and vision. So like to most people, full coverage just means you got your health, you got the dental, and you got your vision. Oh, I got full coverage. Right. So what does that really mean? Does that mean that everything you do is free? Which is, I guess, the tied into one of the biggest myths is because you have insurance, when you go to the doctor, when you go to the hospital, when anything happens, you don't pay anything. Right. And that's just not true. And if you think about it like your homeowner's insurance, you think about it like your car insurance, you're paying this freaking insurance. You're paying all kinds of insurance. Like if you're an adult and you're responsible in the United States of America, you've got at least 3 insurance policies, right?
Yep.
So you've got your homeowner's insurance, you've got your auto insurance, and then hopefully you've got your health insurance. You're paying your auto in your home, hoping to never have to use it, right? Because you never wreck your car. You never, need a new roof. Well, I shouldn't say never. You need a new roof once in every 30 years, right? So it's not a big deal. And then if you do have to use it, you are going to have to pay. You have a little deductible. Sometimes it's $500, sometimes, but the likelihood of actually using that policy is a lot less, right? A health insurance deductible, a lot of times is going to be a little bit more, but people are paying, $200, $300, $400, $500 a month for their health insurance. And when they go to the doctor, and they have to pay, $70, $80, $100, they're like, man, why am I paying this money? When I go to the doctor, I still have to pay $100. And it's like, well, that goes towards your deductible. The point of your health insurance, if you're a consumer out there, the point of your health insurance is to avoid bankruptcy, right? And in its purest, simple form, right? We all want the copays when we go to the doctor. We all want to have our prescriptions and everything covered and have very little out of pocket. But the likelihood of finding a plan that covers all of that perfectly with you having to pay nothing is slim to none, right? So what we do is we find the best plan at the best price, right? As a broker, being able to shop all your options, we're going to shop for the best plan at the best price, right? And what the best plan for you would be is probably different than what the best plan for Susie Jean, who's, 64 and taking a bunch of medications, right? So we're going to kind of customize and tailor that solution to what you need. But definitely the biggest myth is that, because you have health insurance, you don't ever have to pay for anything, or you're going to pay, a lot less for everything. Really think about it like this. I have health insurance so that in any given year, the most that I'll have to pay for my medical bills, like if shit hits the fan and I'm in the hospital and everything's going wrong, the most I'm going to have to pay in 1 year is $5,000 or $3,000 or $7,000, whatever number it is you're comfortable with, to say, hey, at this point in time, after I've spent $5,000 on my medical bills, any more is going to freaking drain me, wipe me out. I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. I need to have health insurance in case something major happens, right? That's why we have coverage in its simplest form. Now, again, we do tailor coverage to every single need. So if somebody is on a bunch of medications or has, more needs than your typical. We can find a solution for that individual. It's just a matter of, what's best for each individual client.
Yeah, and I think that really is the biggest misconception, because a lot of people, they'll go into the doctor's office and they'll think that they don't have to pay. I mean, what does kind of suck though is like whenever you're out of network and it doesn't cover, and then you have to pay it all out of pocket.
Yeah.
Like, I got sick, and the last time we went to Orlando, and I told the doctor, I was like, look, I'm paying full price right now. Like, I don't care what you do, but here's what I want. I want a shot and I want a Z pack right now. Like I'm paying you like $300-400 to get this done.
I want to feel
like,
better tomorrow.
That's what I want right now.
Yeah.
And he gave it to me. So he listened, but
well, and listen, that's another misconception is the navigation of our healthcare system. I always say it like this to customers or clients. You go into, I do it. So I know a lot of other people do it. If I'm in Walmart, right? Or if I'm in Target and there's like, I'm looking at I'm looking at a phone case right now. So I'm just going to say I'm in Target. I'm looking at a phone case and it's like $29.99. I'm like, damn, that's expensive for a phone case. So what do? I pull up my phone. I go on Amazon. I'm like, oh shit, there's one on Amazon for $4.99. I'll get this one. Right. That's a savvy consumer, right? That's being smart. You're not just buying it because it's there and it's for sale, right? Except for when you go to the doctor, you start to forget those same skills, right? To being a savvy consumer. This doctor over here can charge $500 for a visit, even through your insurance. This doctor over here, maybe they're doing it for, $350. You never talk to both doctors. You just assume the doctor gave you the bill. You got to pay it. And it's the healthcare system in our country is it's the only transaction you'll see really that you're billed after it already happens, where it's like, fuck, what can I do now? Like I already had the colonoscopy. What do you mean? I can't like return it. Right. It's like the colonoscopy cost me $5,000 and, they shoved this thing up my butt and they gave me a bill afterwards. And now all of a sudden I'm freaking, I'm like, what do I do? Well, you can negotiate that, right? I have a client in Georgia. Thank God she's a client now. She wasn't obviously when she called me because she was pregnant with no insurance, and she had $40,000 worth of medical bills, right? Because she was pregnant, had the baby, and there was some complications. She had $40,000 in medical bills. That hospital, without even her asking for it, that hospital gave her a 70% discount, which, I mean, $12,000. So whatever was what she would have had to pay or has to pay. And even that, I told her, listen, that $12,000 is not the bottom dollar. That's like that's their first offer. They lowered it to 12, keep paying on it. And then just be like, hey, I'd like to make a one-time payment. What can I get it? What can we do? That's just how our healthcare system, can be gamed a little bit, but nobody's doing that, right? There's no transparency. There's no, nobody is trying to be a savvy consumer. They're not calling the doctor, say, hey, if I pay cash, right? A lot of my clients, the super healthy ones, would much prefer to pay cash for their doctor's visits and just have a catastrophic plan in case they wind up in the hospital, because doctors, man, can be affordable for, for those cash prices, right? Which you might've experienced when you were in Orlando. It wasn't nice to have to pay $300 or $400 or $200 or $300, whatever it was, but it's still, you didn't file bankruptcy after that, I'm guessing. Right. So that's the point of insurance.
Well, I was at a conference and I was like, I don't feel good. I need to feel better tomorrow. I was like,
you didn't have a choice.
I was like, I don't care how much it costs. Here's a card. Just I want a shot and a Z pack. So,
it's a black market doctor you went to, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he gave me what I wanted. So
there you go.
But the thing too, so I kind of want to compare our healthcare system, I really think, is missing a lot, and it's broken in a lot of different ways. And I also kind of wanted to talk about Canada's healthcare system, and if you see any correlation or if we'll ever adopt some of their stuff, because like I see some of the pros and cons about theirs, and then I see the negatives about ours, because like whenever you go to the hospital, if you get them to give you like an itemized receipt of like everything they're charging you for, they're charging you like $10-20 for a Band-Aid. And like, it's just crazy stuff. Cause there's this one lady, her whole business is reducing medical debt. Like that's what she does. She looks at all your receipts.
She's an advocate.
Yeah, and so she like goes through and she just like, oh, this is wrong. Like you can get a Band-Aid for 50 cents. And, like
Yeah.
she just nickels
Right.
and dimes everything, right?
Right.
And so, like what
Well,
as
how do
far
you
as your
think you're able to
take-home
negotiate a
points,
bill from 40,000 to 12? That's
right?
exactly what's going on. You just, the
Right.
markup is ridiculous.
Yeah. And there's no really checks and balances
Right.
for that. So, but
Correct.
I mean, obviously, like Canada has free healthcare, quote unquote.
Hmm.
But the problem with that is like they get backlogged for 6 months. Like you need a surgery, it takes 6 months
Yep.
to get the surgery. So what do you, in your opinion, what do you think's better as far as our healthcare system versus, Canada's?
Yeah. So you just I mean, you hit the nail on the head, dude. In Canada, they're still paying for insurance out above and beyond. I mean, the people like you, right? Or the people like me for that matter, who, dude, if I need a fucking shot in a Z pack, like I need to go get it. Like I want to go get it now. Like just like give me the
Yeah.
shot in the Z pack. Don't care what it costs. Let's go. Right. For people like you and I in Canada, if we wanted that, we're going to have to go to this particular doctor. We might have to wait this long. And I'm not Canadian, so I'm not going to claim to know everything about their system. But
Right.
from what I've heard, I actually have a client who went there, came back, and he went there, so he canceled coverage with me, came back, and I'm like, so how was it, dude? And he told me, I mean, he's just like, it sucked. It was horrible.
Yeah.
Plus during COVID time, so it really sucked for him. The point is that the convenience isn't there. Right. And so I deal with people every single day here in the United States who are being told that they can't see their doctor because this particular plan doesn't cover this particular doctor. Right. So imagine that on a much larger scale, because I mean, the people here are upset about it. They're like, dude, I need a plan that has this doctor and this doctor. And I'm like, here's what I'm telling you. There's 150 plans available in your area. Not one of them have both. So we have to choose. And they're like, well, why the hell is that? Right. And it's because the government got involved in insurance, right? Insurance and the government, anything the government touches, they tend to screw up a little bit. Right. I think we can all agree there, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, when the government gets involved, it gets messy. It gets overcomplicated. Things don't get done. The wrong things do get done. It's a mess. Right. And so when in Canada, they've handed over basically all that control to the government to, run their healthcare system. Right. And so I think to draw a comparison, I think that what we're seeing today with the Affordable Care Act and the plans limiting networks, and I think a lot of that stuff is taken from that system, and we're seeing some of the same issues with, having to go to certain doctors and, I mean, here where I'm from in Sarasota, dude, that the hospital system locally, they accept like 2 different policies, man, on the marketplace. There's a bunch of plans that you're not even able to go to that particular hospital unless it's a life-threatening emergency. And then they're just going to stabilize you and move you to a hospital where you are covered, which is crazy. Like, what the heck, dude? Like before the government got involved, insurance was simpler. So I think anything the government's involved with, I'm staying far away from. Or if I'm solving a problem, I'm going right into it, like with everything I got, because I know the government's going to F shit up. And then I'm going to come in there and be able to make money by solving the problems that they're creating.
Right.
So it just depends on how you look at it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I agree 100% on that the government does screw up everything.
They screw up everything, dude.
Yeah, they really do. So as far as you go, and like what is your 5-year plan? Like what's the future for you and for your company, and what are you looking to do with your agents? Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, this year is really I'm really doubling down on, content, digital marketing. I somehow just wound up in it last year, at the beginning of the year. Last year, January is when I made an effort to say, hey, we're posting twice a week to YouTube. I brought on a media guy, my man E-Dub. He's running the show here today. He's probably one of the best assets that I have as far as digital marketing and getting my brand out there. So we're going to double down on that. We're going to continue to, push the personal brand and back it with the agency brand that I'm trying to build, and hopefully recruit a bunch of agents because of it. We've already got about 40 to 50 agents actively working with us now in that under 65 space. And when I say actively working with, I mean, these are the guys that are working directly on my team. We have we have a few thousand agents that we are working with in some capacity, right? Like whether they have one contract through us or, right. Whatever that looks like. I mean, we've got a lot of different opportunity there, but the future looks like doubling down on the content, really strengthening the foundation and the systems and processes of my agency, because like I told you in the beginning, I'm not the kind of guy that's, building the track. So obviously right. I got plugged into a system, went hard as hell, and that system worked for, up to the scale where we're at now, right? It's not scalable beyond where we're at now if we don't take and kind of streamline some of our processes, obviously through automations, right? I mean, you're a marketing guy, you get that. So trying to automate a lot more stuff that I was just doing, coming from a construction background, right? Like I was no stranger to hard work. It never bothered me to have to work, 10, 12-hour days, but now I've got 2 kids. And so I want to automate a lot of that stuff. Everything I do now, I look at it and I'm like, do I need to be doing this? Can somebody else do this? Can we automate it? Right? Like those are the checklists that I'm going through. So trying to automate a lot more of the processes over the next 12 months, and then just doubling down on the content is where I'm at, man. But my word, I've never done this before. I don't know why I did this year. It was a buddy of mine, good friend, mentor. He has a word for every year, and he had posted something. And so it just got me thinking like, man, I wonder what my word for 2022 is. And it just like kept hitting me over and over again. It's fun. I've spent, we'll just call it 5 years. I spent 5 years on the grind, really have, consistent. I have a 3-year-old son now. And so for the early days of his life, I was working still 10, 12-hour days, because I'm like, dude, I'm trying to make this happen now so I could be at, the T-ball games, and, he's BMX racing now. It's so fun. So I get to be a part of that. So the word for this year is totally just fun. And the content's going to show that, because I'm having a blast. I've launched the Insurance Sucks podcast. It's a podcast for insurance agents, by insurance agents, where we talk about anything but insurance. And so, just having a whole lot more fun this year. And I think everything that I just mentioned, doubling down on content, focusing on automations and systems and processes, I think all of that is going to allow for more fun.
Yeah. Awesome. And I do the same thing too. That's awesome that you do that with the word for the year. My word for this year is acquisition. So I'm streamlining everything, trying to acquire as many real estate properties as I can, acquire more clients for the softwares, and like they're just going full speed ahead. So I think that everyone should do that, especially at the end of the year and the beginning of the year. Everybody has New Year's resolutions and stuff, but you need to reflect on what you did the year previously and like look at how far that you've came so far, because that was one of the things that I would always picture myself 5-10 years in the future, and I would never be present of where I'm at. Right. And I would never really look back and like just look at all the stuff that I went through, and, going like, whenever you look back and you reflect on that, you're like, damn, I'm a lot further along than I thought I would be at this age, and it's crazy to see that. So, cool.
Love it. Well, you're a young guy too. How old are you?
28. So,
oh, you're not that young.
I'm not that
almost
young.
30, dude.
I know my wife's she's older than me, and she's almost 30, and she's dreading it. I'm like, no, babe, the 30s are the best years of your life. So at least that's what they say. That's what they say. So
I agree.
See. Well, cool, man. So I know that we're probably about to change over here. So how do people reach out to you? How do they get connected with you?
Yeah. So the easiest way is the YouTube channel is just Brad Hannon, right? It's youtube.com/Brad Hannon. Obviously every single description has all of my contact information, all that. I'm on Facebook at Bradley Hannon. And then my Instagram is B_Hannon. So any of those social outlets are certainly going to be the best way to connect with me. If you're selling insurance, if you're, looking to sell insurance, if you need insurance for yourself, certainly reach out, and also check out the Insurance Sucks podcast, because we're talking about crypto. I'm going to have you on there. We're talking about crypto. We're talking about real estate. We're talking about all things, not insurance. So it's really an outlet for anybody and everybody. I like to think of it as more of a selfish endeavor for me because I just get to have a whole lot of fun, have cool guests like you on and just, connect. So that's the reason for it.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you being on the Whiskey Winners podcast and look forward to being on your show.
Yeah, buddy. Thanks, man.
We'll see you.
Yep.
Thank you for listening to the Whiskey with Winners podcast, your home for real and raw stories of industry titans. Make sure to click the button below to subscribe. Follow our journey on Instagram at Most Interesting Marketer and Anchor, Stitcher, YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. Remember to always stay humble, stay hungry, and stay focused.
Everything that I'm saying is out of context. Wait, it's not even really a contest. See, if you already know, then I'm next. Looking at a bodybuilder like Y-Flex. I'm dope in the pot like it's Pyrex. And I do it big just like a T-Rex. A T-Rex, I'm the best to ever do it. Could be so dope when he flow to the fucking music. Like, this shit is nasty for real. Yeah, I'm dope. You don't even have to ask me for real, man. Damn, I think I'm going long, I'm going hard. Woo. Who could come up with the bars? I'm a shooting star. I shine bright in the fucking night, and they can't tell me that I'm doing wrong. I do it right, like I'm at the top. So who could really top that? Yeah, and tune in to the podcast.